fixture set for the size we want already. This time we got our dowel pins in there. What we're going to do, we're going to bolt this down to the surface of the block, and as we turn that cutter in, that cutter is going to go ahead and cut a groove. When we get the groove in here, it's going to leave the wire sticking up between 4 and 8 thousandths of an inch. And what that'll do, it'll grab that head gasket and lock it in between the deck and the head, and that should prevent any kind of blown head gaskets. If you want to be really serious, you can take this thing, flip it over and put it on the cylinder head and put in a receiver groove, and that cutter will actually cut a groove in the head, and as that wire pushes the gasket up, that gasket will actually lock into both sides. Well, that's pretty extreme. I don't think we're going to have to go that far just yet, but let's get this thing set up and cut the groove. Okay, run that in until it stops.
It says 350, but I don't think that's true.
Okay, that's our touch-off point. So we're going to go 1, 2, and we're going to stop right in between the next 2 notches. We're going to tighten down our feed screw so it doesn't cut that groove too deep. So we're going to loosen that. Tighten that screw down until it's touching. Reset the lock. So now we'll never go any further than that when we're turning our cutter in. That is our touch-off point. So we'll back it off from there to get started. Now all we have to do, make sure our surfaces are both pretty clean. We don't have anything that's going to hold this thing crooked. If you have to, you can drag a stone or a file across there. Eventually you might need to. Let's put a little bit of oil on the cutter. It makes a big difference. If that cutter loads up, it's going to make a really ugly cut. Plus it'll live longer if you keep it nice and wet. We'll put some oil on the surface of the block. We're not worried about this dye. We're going to wipe that off anyway. But I just want to make sure that cutter doesn't get hot. For the Clone and the Predator, we use 4 bolts. I guess when you do this on an Animal, you only use 2. We're just going to snug these down. We don't have to get crazy with it. We got it snug. And we're free. Next thing, we are ready. We should lock this thing down. I think it's going to be all right. I'm going to lean over it like that. We're going to try and run this drill at a fairly steady speed. And we'll feel it start to grab as we run the cutter in. We're going real slow until we feel it touch off. There it goes. Now we're cutting. Go a little deeper. Just going to run that thing in until it stops. I think when that knob gets to about the 9 o'clock position, we'll be about done. Now, if something doesn't feel right, we can always stop. Beauty of having everything locked down on Valentines is nothing's going to move. That's it. That's as far as she's going to go. Now, let's back our cutter off and see what kind of mess we made in there. Hopefully, we got a perfect groove. We're still getting the feel for this, but I didn't feel it do anything wrong. There we go. Get a rag, wipe all those chips off. Now we stopped kind of shy. They suggest 36th on the depth with a 40 wire, but I think that doesn't leave enough wire sticking up. I really want to lock that gasket in, so we tried to stop about 32. Groove feels nice. It's nice and concentric. If you look here, it's about the same distance between the bore and the head bolt chamfer on both sides. Leaves you plenty of meat in there. We could have got closer to the cylinder, but I think that's going to be perfect, especially with a copper gasket. And again, this is a small bore. This is 68 millimeter. If it were 70 millimeter, you'd probably be out here. Let's see what happens when we go to put the wire in. Oh yeah, like a glove. When we go for a final install, we'll put a little Loctite in that groove. And we'll go around this with maybe a little piece of aluminum plate, or plastic hammer works really good. We'll Loctite it and tap it in. What we want to do is get the sharpest set of nippers we can nip that off so that when the ends of the ring butt, they're as close to perfect as you can get them. That way you got a perfect seal all the way around with your groove. But that wire, you can feel it sticking up. Not too far, not too shallow. That is going to lock the head gasket in. Well, let me get a pair of clippers and we'll finish that wire. I'm going to mark this where we want to cut it. I think we're going to cut it right there. And make that black dot disappear. And that whole wire should just roll right in. The 20s. It's same per pound, so it's $5 a bag instead of 10. Maybe clip just 320s. You sure can. I'll be right with you. I think that's going to be pretty damn close. A little more.
Probably an inch. You see the little silver piece?
Yeah, maybe 10 thou or something. Let me get him. To make sure it's seated. Oh yeah, that's perfect. That is a perfect O-ring job. Now, just for fun, let's get an old copper gasket. I'll blow these bolt holes out and we'll bolt a head down there and see the print on the gasket.
Alright.
That way they can actually see what it does. We'll put our copper gasket on there. And we are sealing on that copper gasket. Just perfect. That is perfect for 72. Got studs. Put studs in there. Let's see what kind of print that steel ring leaves in this gasket once we torque this head down. We don't even really need to torque it, we'll just tighten her out. Well, that gasket's for a 2.8, so it looks big on that small bore, but it's going to work just fine. Off our cylinder head. That's our big round cylinder head right there. Like a glove. couple of washers on here just in case, because sometimes you end up with your stud being just a little bit too long. And what you don't want to do is torque down the head against the threads and have the gasket blow on you. Especially since these heads have been milled. Put the nuts on, and I will run and grab a ratchet and a socket. Tighten this thing down. Right back. So we won't go the full, what is it, 27 foot-pounds, but we will tighten it down about a quarter turn from snug. Now let's see what we got. Did we leave a print in the gasket? This is a way easier alternative here than having the sleeve installed proud and then cutting that big deep groove in the head. That is a lot of work, and there's not a lot of guys around that'll do that for you. And then you have to source the round ring head gaskets that they use. Head off. And we can see a ring on there from the other side. And a nice indentation in the gasket where that thing was absolutely locked in. You see that nice pinch in there. Now if we wanted to, like I said, we could leave that wire just a little bit further up, and we could cut that same groove in the head, leave it open, and it would actually push that ring of material right there up into the head and lock it on the other side. But for what we're doing, I think this is more than an adequate seal. You tell me. Pretty damn cool.